Remember the old childhood biology song about the body? The foot bone's connected to the heel bone, the hip bone's connected to the backbone. In the same sense, the Greek people are connected to the Eurozone. The Eurozone's connected to the global economy, which means that it's all connected to us here in the United States, one way or another. So with that being the case, the crisis going on with Greece and the Eurozone, it may not make as much noise as Donald Trump on a campaign trail, but we better pay attention to the rumblings around us. With the Eurozone facing many decisions on how to proceed, the global question remains: will the fallout of the crisis lead to a blip in the markets, a glitch that halts the recovery that we're taking out of this recession, or a dive into the deep end that starts 2008 all over again, this time in 2015? Are the Greek fiscal woes a minor sprain that won't bother us much, or a significant injury that will have us all limping along economically? Granted, America has 23 states, basically half of the nation, that has a bigger GDP than the country of Greece. But the economic failures of Greece are more than just about debts and defaults. Set aside for a moment the harsh austerity measures that come into play for the Greek people, whose unemployment rate is over 25% and who's in retirement age, until the latest rounds of talks with the European Union was as low as age 50 for some professions. Failure to sufficiently bail Greece out of the financial ruins indicates perhaps the beginning of the failure of the idea of a Eurozone, a collection of countries and economies that blur national borders and currencies for the common good of a global region. With the failure of the Greek state economically comes the possibility of the failure of the Greek democracy. Just as the Nazi Party rose during the harsh economic times of the early 1930s, the Greeks are experiencing a modern wave of Nazism where the Golden Dawn Party continues to gain votes, seats in parliament, and the pulse of frustrations throughout the Greek people. With the failure to keep the Eurozone free from risk comes the pushback from other regions of the world, namely North America and Asia, to model their 21st century economic goals after the template that just came out 20 years ago. And of course, any current economic vulnerability leaves the Eurozone looking over its shoulder at the nations that were left behind in 1993, particularly Russia, China, and India, as they continue to compete against the West, both economically and militarily. Economic markets always have their bumps and bruises, yet we must remember that market crashes are often less about capital than they are about confidence. And right now, there's no confidence in how all this is going to play out for the Eurozone or for us. The last two major wars in world history, one started because of economic calamities, Germany after World War I, and one ended because of them. Think Russia and the ruins of poor centralized economic planning. We're more connected than ever before, meaning that the pain felt in Greece may still cause a hiccup in America. At a time when we continue to limp through what experts call a recovery and Americans call hard times, a hiccup could be more than enough to make us lose our breath, and maybe even a little bit more.